What path might you take in your quest for total health?
Optimum health that encompasses mind, body, and spirit.
So join us now as we head to the frontiers of integrative health and well-being.
With Judy Brooks,
Roy Walkenhorst,
and Michelle Bernhardt, our Inner World Guide.
On Healing Quest. Thanks for joining us today. Have you noticed in many of our homes something is multiplying with no signs of slowing down?
We're talking about video screens. Big ones, medium ones, small size ones. They inform us, entertain us, and mesmerize us.
But are they good for us?
We literally are creating grooves in our brain where these images and messages find a home.
With your screen and our cameras, we'll get a fascinating new look at an old debate.
And what would you think if you visited your local hospital and saw this? Two determined healers insist this ancient form of healing belongs in modern high-tech hospitals, and this young girl's remarkable story may prove them right.
And newsflash, fruits and vegetables are good for us. But we're not just talking about all the good advice our parents gave us. Two important things make them critical to our brains.
Sounds like a smart idea to get things started. We have some great insights to share with you on our journey to better health, right here on Healing Quest.
Broadcast of this program made possible by
So True, makers of organic, fermented whole food nutrition. All So True products are non-GMO, gluten and soy free, and fermented to help unlock the full potency of each ingredient. More information is available at SoTrue.com. So True, whole food nutrition designed for your best self.
Prime, a daily dietary supplement designed to support cardiovascular health by boosting the production of nitric oxide. More information available at primeno.com.
Vital Choice Seafood, wild-caught seafood and whole food supplements rich in omega-3s. More information about our wild seafood and our sustainable practices is available at www.vitalchoice.com or at 800-608-4825. It's been about 70 years since television became commonplace, and it seems like we've been arguing ever since about what mass media is doing to our culture, our society, and our brains.
Well, now the argument's a lot more complex because of the explosion of new technologies that deliver sounds and words and pictures to us wherever we are and at any age.
Our Inner World Guide, Michelle Bernhardt, has been examining this topic as part of our series on brain health.
Thanks, guys. For this report, we consulted a world-class group of teachers, activists, and commentators for their thoughts on media and our minds, what's happened so far and what the future may bring. First, the printing press, then books, newspapers, advertising, magazines, flyers, pamphlets. Wars were fought, cultures and nations destroyed and created over the ideas they spread, good and bad. Then things got serious. Movies, radio, and the electronic fireplace, that glowing box in the living room that commanded hours of attention. So persuasive, it held power over the most powerful. Was it good for us or bad? The debate was on. Enter the 21st century. And the question is more urgent than ever. What are those images and all that information doing to our brains?
We cover all different forms of media and how it affects us on so many levels. So we talk about how it can affect us cognitively, how it affects us emotionally, how it affects us physically, and the way we respond to these media, and why we're also drawn to the media.
Adjunct Professor Susan Jang teaches psychology and media at Columbia University's Teachers College.
What I sensed, this huge interest, is with the social media. I know that the students were so curious to see the research in social media, saying, what are the personality factors that go into social media use? And they got heated up. They said, does this mean that I'm a narcissist?
One of her guest speakers is Regina Scully, a documentary film producer and media activist. While creating media is her passion, she knows its power.
The media has a profound impact on our mental and our emotional health. Everything that we see on television, in the movies, reading, our iPads, all of our gadgets, they absolutely affect the neural pathways in our brains. We know this from medical studies. We literally are creating grooves in our brain where these images and messages find a home.
The lasting concern of media critics is what is being etched into those grooves.
I think we are certainly desensitized to some images, and I think certainly in the area of violence, I've seen it in the media that I've grown up with. There's much more graphic violence than there ever has been. And what I would have maybe shuddered before now, I don't think I think as much about it. I don't think it elicits the same kind of emotion.
So it just makes sense that we would be very careful or more stringent about what we're ingesting in our minds. I call it a psychic diet. We literally need to pay more attention to the psychic diet that we're eating every day or putting into our minds.
Among Scully's friends and colleagues is Gloria Steinem, a pioneer in the modern women's movement, co-founder of Ms. Magazine and the influential Women's Media Center, and a lifelong observer of the impact of mass media.
Well, I would say there are only two problems: form and content. That's it. We can't empathize unless we are together with all five senses. So if we substitute the screen for human contact, it can be a problem. So the form, if it is used excessively, is a problem in itself. And the content, of course, there are just so many examples of things that television shows. It normalizes it. Then we who are actually normal feel like the exception, and even abnormal or wrong, and that's a problem.
For Steinem and Women's Media Center's co-founders Jane Fonda and Robin Morgan, both legends in their own right, choosing the best way to recast negative or distorted views in mass media was easy. Use mass media itself.
We wanted to not only criticize media, because we're all in one way or another journalists or media activists, Gloria and Jane and I, but we wanted to also model what a representative, real, creative, informative, funny, inspiring, and empowering media would look and sound like.
She says making the media more representative of the world we live in is critical to supporting the aspirations of people in a media-saturated world.
If you can't see yourself or something that relates to your life in media, it's very difficult to imagine it out of nowhere. And it's a profoundly disturbing and enervating, sapping of energy effect. If you can't see it, you can't be it.
Making media that's a positive force for social change is a primary focus for Regina Scully. She works with the Women's Media Center and is an Academy Award-nominated producer and filmmaker. She says storytelling is humanity's oldest form of communication, and that is one key to building healthier mass media.
More and more, we're using films, storytelling as tools for education. They're developing curricula around these films and cinema and stories because they really show students across the country the link between how powerful the media is and what we are doing in our culture.
The second key just may be technology, new ways to respond to what we see and hear and to create and broadcast. Our own stories seem to pop up every day.
What a great class, right?
In her classroom and at home, Susan Jang is in a unique position to see how a new generation of media technology is affecting a new generation of minds.
We can post things, we can respond to things in a very quick and fast manner. It's become triangulated. So now we are at the center of this as well. So the equation has changed. So we're looking at media in a way that we're both a part of it and we can shape it, but we're also affected by it too. First and foremost, I love media. I watch a lot of media, I use a lot of media, and I also see my family using a lot of media. I have 2 daughters, they're 6 years apart, and even looking at the way they use media has changed dramatically in that 6-year span.
For Susan's students' generation, the days of being passive recipients of mass media are fading away. And as so many have discovered in other quests for healthier minds and bodies, it's better to be in control than it is to be controlled.
A lot of times in these courses we focus on the negative of media, and it's nice to take in that extra positive aspect that's often overlooked. And even though we don't like how media is at the moment, there's still that platform for change in media itself that we can use the system to change it.
It's increasing the media literacy, literally the media literacy of our country. And so it's been a very profound experience to work with these students at different universities. Our students need to see how our media is creating our culture. In fact, media does create culture. And we need to care about that because culture creates our legacy.
For many of us these days, restraint and balance are keys to avoid being overwhelmed by electronic media. That and making sure your media diet includes positive, healthy content. But while it's true that technology offers us new ways to respond to media and even to create and distribute our own messages, the flood of mass media can still be overwhelming. One thing we still value most about our devices, big and small, that have screens and speakers is the ability to turn them off if we need to. In fact, our friend Dr. Andrew Weil once recommended taking a news fast from time to time as a way to maintain that balance between media and our life in the real world. Another thing to remember is just because you read it or saw it on TV doesn't mean it's true. What we say and the stories we share or tune into can either bring light into the world or spread hurt and fear. We have a lot of power here. The choice is ours.
That's right, Michelle. As long as Healing Quest is part of that media diet.
Oh, good advice. You know, Michelle mentioned bringing light into the world. And in this next story, you're going to meet a couple people who are doing exactly that in a big way that could have a big impact on how we all recover from serious illnesses.
Stay tuned. You may never think of an ICU the same way again.
Here on Healing Quest, one thing we most like to do is to spotlight pioneers who are creating new pathways to optimum health.
That's certainly the case with the two people you're going to meet in our next story.
In fact, what they're doing is manifesting a major new approach to healing at a very profound level.
Pediatric intensive care units are typically jam-packed with the very latest in modern technology. Dr. David Steinhorn uses all that and more to save young lives at one of the top children's hospitals in the U.S. But sometimes he calls in a very different resource, someone who's helping him integrate ancient shamanic practices into modern Western medicine.
Shamanic healing has been an ancient healing art that has existed thousands of years.
Jana Din is one of a number of shamanic healers across the country, giving new meaning to the concept of integrative healing.
It's working with the human spirit. It's working with the healing needs of the soul and the spirit. Because for a person to be in health and wellness, it takes the alignment of mind, body, spirit, and soul.
My contract is to be the physician, and my calling is to find a way of treating the whole patient. And when I can't treat the other parts, I need to bring in allies to do that additional care.
Lauren Douglas is one patient who's benefited from that additional care. About a year before we took these pictures, Lauren was suffering from kidney failure and a devastating lung disease. At one point, she was in an induced coma for 30 days. But she survived the crisis, endured months of dialysis, and finally underwent kidney transplant surgery. The operation was a success, and Lauren has resumed most of her normal life, except for playing soccer.
It was my goal to bring in somebody who is not part of the medical team to begin to explore how to find a place where Lauren could go that was safe inside herself, safe in her emotions, because the medical environment is in general a fairly threatening environment. It's not a child-friendly or even human-friendly environment. And so my goal was for Jana to explore with Lauren, with her mother's permission, what might be a safe place at which one can feel it's okay to stay in this world.
When she came out of that coma, and she was conscious when I was doing the healing work. She really expressed how relaxing it was and how it helped her to calm down when her blood pressure would be high and she was very stressed at all of the medical intervention that was necessary really to save her life.
Hi, gorgeous. How are you doing? You okay? Yes? Oh my goodness, Lauren. It is so good to see you. Oh, thank you, Lord. Thank you, thank you. Hi, baby.
Lauren, she was a great patient, but yet she was still scared of what was happening. After, when Jana was there, Lauren would just nap and was just in such a calm state at that time.
Tell me about where you went the first time she did work with you.
She said to imagine a meadow and have beautiful flowers in the meadow, and she told me, do you see an animal or like a dog? I said, yes, I see a dog. It was a beagle, and its name was Shiloh. And I saw a girl, and I saw many butterflies.
What does butterfly mean to you?
They represent like bravery and just peacefulness, and they're very beautiful.
Jana says she's tapping into centuries of native wisdom in her healing sessions.
Different cultures around the world all have some form of healers that address the healing of the spirit and the soul, and the very common core practice is that they use some type of repetitive, either percussive instrument. It could be using their voice, toning, a drum in my case, a rattle, a gong, a bell, but something that induces a very relaxed state of mind. And when that practitioner gets into that altered state of mind, then they're able to access information and healing energy on behalf of the client.
Not all of Jana's shamanic work involves remarkable recovery stories like Lauren's.
Some of these patients, they have very life-limiting diseases. Often healing, really, is allowing the parents to understand that life continues on in their hearts, in their minds, to be able to bring that forward to parents. Heart-to-heart talks with them is some of the most powerful healing work that I've had the privilege of assisting.
This California hospital is not the only place where Dr. Steinhorn has brought shamanic practices into his medical model. He's also introduced it into hospitals in Chicago and Buffalo, and his intention is that this kind of integrative medicine becomes even more widely adopted.
It's almost a foregone conclusion that there will have to be additional approaches to healing than simply more and more allopathic medicine and Western pharmacologically based therapies. As my favorite Hmong shaman in Sacramento told me, David, if we support the human spirit, doesn't that allow the body to accept Western medicine more effectively?
Many things about that story are memorable, but we especially admire the innovative spirit and, frankly, the courage of Dr. Steinhorn in bringing shamanic healing into a modern hospital setting.
And we also admire and thank Lauren for sharing her inspirational story with us.
Now, finding shamanic healers as gifted as Jana Din is, of course, no easy task. But a society for shamanic practitioners has been formed, and we have the link for you at healingquest.tv if you'd like to see what's available in your area.
When it comes to mealtime favorites, I don't think potassium and magnesium would be on the list for most of us.
But that's why we have nutritional experts like Dr. Nicholas Gonzalez to enlighten us. He says those two minerals are very important when it comes to keeping our brain healthy.
And the good news is that they're very easy to include as a regular part of our daily diet.
Potassium. Potassium is such an important mineral. And if you're taking salt, you also need potassium and magnesium. Potassium, of course, is found in a lot of fruits, like bananas have 300 milligrams of potassium. There are 9 trillion brain cells, and they communicate through electrical transmission, which requires salt, but also requires potassium. And bananas are loaded with, oranges are loaded, citrus loaded with potassium, grapefruits, oranges, leafy greens loaded with potassium. Virtually any vegetable, even something like broccoli or potatoes, which we don't think is a good source of potassium, loaded with potassium. But bananas, of course, traditionally are the richest source. So potassium is really important. Magnesium also. Magnesium helps moderate and modulate nerve transmission in the brain. Again, it's amazing the damage that can be done by magnesium deficiency on the brain, because like potassium and sodium, you need these various minerals in order to have normal brain transmission of neurological impulses. Magnesium, as I said earlier, is in leafy greens. The reason they're green is because they have magnesium in the chlorophyll molecule. But most fruits and most vegetables will have a lot of magnesium, and people that don't eat a lot of fruits and vegetables and eat junk food and processed food lose magnesium. Now, white flour, white bread, white rice, white spaghetti, white sugar, processed foods, synthetic foods, they don't tend to have a lot of magnesium. It's all processed right out. When they refine grains, so a lot of Americans, it's been shown, are deficient in magnesium. And in its mild state, you might feel irritable and anxious and have low-grade chronic anxiety, and magnesium deficiency produces anxiety. In its worst state, if you're really overtly, seriously deficient in magnesium, you can have grand mal seizures. It can raise blood pressure when you're deficient. So magnesium, potassium, both important for many reasons, but also important for brain health. And they are found in fruits and vegetables, leafy greens, bananas have potassium. All vegetables, all fruits will have potassium and magnesium.
Let's review that shopping list.
Leafy greens, vegetables like broccoli and potatoes, and fruits like oranges and grapefruits.
But Dr. Gonzalez said it's also important for all of those fruits and veggies to be organic for maximum benefit.
Potassium and magnesium. I think my 9 trillion brain cells have some new best friends.
I have a riddle for you. What creature sips on mud for its own nourishing minerals and tastes its food with its feet and is astoundingly colorful, yet technically transparent? A hint. You saw some light up a young girl's imagination earlier in our show. And they're the beautiful subject of our healing moment today. And Lauren, this one's for you. So I'd like to invite you to sit back, relax, and enjoy this week's healing moment. Beauty, peacefulness, and bravery. That's what 11-year-old Lauren Douglas, who we met earlier in today's show, saw in the butterflies in her healing meditation.
And what fluttering beauty Louis Schwartzberg brought to us in the healing moment we just saw. If you'd like to learn more about his work and his moving art project, we have the link for you at healingquest.tv.
And we also want to say thank you to Jane Rivar and her staff here at River Highlands Ranch outside Grass Valley, California, where we're shooting this season.
Thanks to all of you for watching. That's our Healing Quest for now. Please remember you can follow us on Facebook and Twitter.
And join us next time here on Healing Quest. Next week on Healing Quest, take a few steps in a very healthy direction.
See the dance form that speaks of romance to many and of powerful healing to others.
And a dish we doubt is on most people's lists of healthy brain foods. And the best way to fix a healthy steak. We'll find out from an expert chef and a holistic health practitioner.
It's all next time on our journey to better health here on Healing Quest.
Broadcast of this program made possible by
So True, makers of organic, fermented whole food nutrition. All So True products are non-GMO, gluten and soy free, and fermented to help unlock the full potency of each ingredient. More information is available at SoTrue.com. So True, whole food nutrition designed for your best self.
Prime, a daily dietary supplement designed to support cardiovascular health by boosting the production of nitric oxide. More information available at primeno.com.
Vital Choice Seafood, wild-caught seafood and whole food supplements rich in omega-3s. More information about our wild seafood and our sustainable practices is available at www.vitalchoice.com or at 800-608-4825.
For more information on the stories in today's show and on upcoming Healing Quest live events, visit us at healingquest.tv.
To order a DVD of this episode of Healing Quest, call 877-544-4827 or write the address on your screen.